Hello and welcome back to the NWR Virtual Investor Conference. I'm Andrew Gagan from AusBiz. Great that you can join us. Our next company is PainChek. It's an Australian-based company that develops pain assessment technologies. Its PainChek technology is a smartphone-based medical device using artificial intelligence to assess and score pain levels in real time and update medical records in the cloud. PainChek records a short video of the person's face and analyzes the images that indicate pain and records them. PainChek's technology can be used with adults who are unable to effectively verbalize their pain, such as people with dementia, as well as with children who have not yet learned to speak. And the company has recently gained regulatory approvals for its PainChek universal offering that combines its technology with the traditional numeric rating scale for pain. Just a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question at the end of the presentation, please do so by checking the Q&A panel on your screen. Well, let's now hear from the Chief Executive of PainChek, Philip Davis. Philip.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you everyone for attending this morning. I'm very pleased to give you the update on our quarterly results and progress for PainChek in Australia and overseas. As Andrew mentioned, we are a pain assessment technology that uses a smartphone to assess pain and document that information for carers in aged care and for family members in the home environment. Our summary for this quarter, in fact, the last quarter, the real focus for us was to actually achieve around 100,000 dementia beds under contract in Australia. That's one of our key goals in the last quarter. To get the kids app or the first infant app regulated and to continue expansion in international markets. And we're really delighted to say we've achieved all three. We've actually gotten to over 120,000 beds under license contracts, SaaS contracts in Australia. And we've achieved 60% market share in our domestic market, which is quite incredible achievements to have done that in less than 1.5 to 2 years. We've also commenced expanded sales in the UK and also got our first sales in New Zealand this past quarter. So really pleased with the results in the last few months. And on top of that, we've now got the adult and the infant app regulatory cleared for sale in Australia, Europe, UK, New Zealand, Singapore and Canada. So that's 60% of the global market. Now, as was mentioned, our purpose is to give a voice to people who cannot reliably verbalize their pain. And today we now have both the adult app and the infants app regulatory cleared for 6% of the global markets. People with dementia struggle to communicate their pain and lose their ability to actually hide their facial expressions, which makes our technology really work very well. And of course, pre-verbal kids haven't yet built the ability to actually communicate the levels of pain and therefore need greater assistance. The size of these markets are significant. There's more than 50 million people, in fact, greater to 75 million people with dementia in the world by 2025. And people with dementia actually are moving from home to aged care facilities and to hospitals on a regular basis due to the needs of their condition. And in fact, more than 30% of hospital beds are occupied by people with dementia at any one time. So although we focus initially in aged care, we're now also looking very closely to moving into the home care and the hospital markets, as you'll see. The children's market, or the pre-verbal children's market, dwarfs the actual adult market. There are 400 million pre-verbal children at any one time in the world, and more than 100 million of those are actually born to first-time parents at any one time. So these are significantly large markets. What we've done from our technology, now pain assessment for elderly, for people with aged care, has been an issue for many, many years, and there are a number of pain assessment tools, manual tools out there in the marketplace, including in Australia, the Abbey Pain Scale. And what we have done is we've taken the learnings from all these tools over many years. We've brought in artificial intelligence to do the most complex part of the pain assessment, which is the facial analysis. And we do that automatically through AI 3-second detection of facial microexpressions of pain. And we've also we've intelligently automated the rest of the process to allow the carers to do a rapid, easy assessment of pain and document it into their care management system. The nice thing about this as well is people like Jennifer Abbey, Dr. Jennifer Abbey, who developed the Abbey Pain Scale, is actually now on our advisory board and supporting the transition from an older technology as such to a modern technology that really is far more objective to assess pain. We started in aged care, and we started in aged care because that's where pain assessment and the issue of dementia is at its greatest. 50% of people living in aged care live with dementia, and 8% of people in aged care typically have experienced chronic pain conditions at any one time. So we focused there to actually really build the product, build the business model, and use that as the basis for our global expansion. This is a summary of the results we have over the last 12 months. As you can see, we've had a significant growth on the left-hand side in terms of our aged care facilities, over 100% growth year on year. We now have more than 400 providers managing more than 1,500 aged care facilities under contract. And that represents more than 60% of the market here in Australia. Again, a significant achievement. And as you can see, the last 3 months, the last quarter, we've gone from about 30% market share to 60% market share. So significant movements. What that shows on the right-hand side is that we have now close to 130,000 beds under contract. And we've implemented 46,000 of those because we've signed so many recently. We've got a lot to roll out and train and implement. So the team is really well versed now. We've got a strong account management and an operations team to roll out and implement and train across Australia and overseas in other markets. If you look at the sum of those results, you can see here that on quarter, again, significant growth. And the annualized recurring revenue has grown from $3.5 to $5.5 million. That's the revenue we'd recognize post the government grant. And again, from a cash flow perspective, we have been very, very good in managing our cash with more than $11 million still in the bank. New clients include Bupa and Estia Health, significant players in the market. And these are all people we're rolling out over the next 6 to 12 months. So if a picture paints 1,000 words, this picture really represents our presence. This is a representation of our 400 providers who cover more than 1,500 facilities in aged care that are now contracted to PainChek. So we're not just in every state, we're not just in every city, but we're practically in every town in Australia. And therefore, this is key to building our global business model and key to building the PainChek brand locally, which we're using in overseas as well. Our 5.57 million ARR is critical for us. We are obviously taking that, we're using that as the base for the future. And that revenue, when transitioned across, would result in PainChek covering our current Australian operational cost base, which shows you how strong a business model this is. Australia is 2% of the global aged care business. And of course, the aged care sector is probably smaller than our home care, hospital and children's market opportunities. So this is a really, really good business model and a validated platform for global expansion. This is a summary actually of the beds that we're transitioning out from the government trial into contracted beds. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the chart shows you that we've actually increased our paid beds by more than 10,000 beds in the last quarter, and we've got 32,000 beds now active in the trial and 82,000 beds being rolled out, most of which was signed up in the last 3 months. If you look at the right side, this shows you the revenue transition. So we'll be transitioning from those beds. We've already got a number of active paying commercial fees. We've got about $1 million in about to transition across and $3.3 million being rolled out. So our goal this year is to transition our clients from the government trial, which currently are many of them, onto normal paid conditions with PainChek. Now, what makes us confident that this transition will happen? Well, there's a number of things. Firstly, we track every single pain assessment that's conducted in aged care. And you can see this chart here. We've had more than 250% growth year on year in utility of our app. And this shows the clinical utility and the benefits that people are seeing from utilizing the PainChek app. So strong utilization of the product and we store every single pain assessment on our back end for analysis and for feedback to our clients. This is another reason why we believe this is making major inroads in aged care. We just recently completed a study with KPMG and the federal government in terms of how PainChek is being used and the benefits we're seeing in aged care. And these are three sort of highlights. The first one is we're seeing the real reduction in use of psychotropic medication because we were able to identify certain behaviors as pain related and to treat them and therefore reduce the use of psychotropic drugs, a key focus for governments in aged care and the risk of chemical restraints. So that's a major, major benefit that's gone back to the federal government. Second benefit is clearly because of the utility of PainChek, we see that aged care facilities are renewing their focus on pain assessments and doing more pain assessments to manage the care of their residents better. And finally, in certain situations, because they've got an accurate pain assessment tool, they realize that sometimes perceived pain isn't as bad as they think it is. And so with PainChek, they can rather than giving extreme PRN medications, they can use things like heat packs to treat the pain and manage it better. So these are really, really positive elements that have seen in Australia, and we're now seeing in overseas markets such as the UK as well. Another reason is we've actually integrated with all the care management systems in Australia who provide documentation systems to aged care. So we've got all 10 major partners covered in Australia, plus in the UK, Canada, and New Zealand. The value of this is that when you do a PainChek assessment at the point of care with the resident, the information is documented automatically into the care management system, reducing the risk of any errors, reducing the duplication of data, and also helping to transition care more rapidly and faster. And on top of this, we've now developed a universal pain assessment solution, which is now regulatory cleared, which means that we are now able to analyze not just patients with those who can't verbalize their pain, but also patients who can document their pain. So this is a tool now, PainChek's a tool now for every person, whether in aged care, or in hospitals, or in home care. This is a summary report that we provide our aged care facilities to show that we can track results within 24 hours of their pain assessments. So we monitor those initial assessments, be it mild pain, moderate or severe pain, and we can provide results of how they're managing their pain for those residents 24 hours later. And as you can see in this example chart, is that we can see reduction in pain levels on all elements from mild, moderate and severe over a 24-hour period, giving great insights for our carers and our aged care facilities and also for their accreditation and other needs in aged care. So PainChek's going global. We have got regulatory clearance in 60% of the markets, and we've got partners in overseas markets. And this year we're focusing also on the FDA, the US market, getting our regulatory clearance, which is the only major regulatory clearance we need now to become a truly global business. That's something we're working on this year. In the UK, I'm pleased to say that we've got more than 1,000 beds now live and 1,500 beds planned for deployment. We've got agreements now in England, Scotland, and Wales, and we see a fast traction in improvements in the UK market. Now the market's almost fully vaccinated. We've got one CMS provider engaged. We've got 2 more about to go live with us. So we see a strong growth in the UK in FY22. This is a quick summary on the markets. The aged care market is a strong market, a $300 million market global, but we see the home care market being significantly larger. We're commencing work now in Australia through our aged care providers to go into the home care market, and we're using the UK and other markets as fast followers to get into that sector. Move now on to the Infants app, which was regulatory cleared just last month for use in 6 markets around the world, including Europe, UK, and Australia. This is a significantly large market. We see utilisation in the children's hospitals, we see it in GPs, and we see it for parents at home. There's 400 million infants worldwide, children worldwide between 0 to 3 years of age, and about 140 million infants between 1 month and 1 year. And the infant is where we're starting right now. That's what the regulatory product is cleared for, and it's a 3-step analysis of the face only. A 1% global market share of that market would give us more than $300 million annualized revenue. The infant app has been accepted for publication in the Lancet Digital Health Journal, which is one of the leading journals in the world. It should be published in the next few weeks. It's been accepted, and it basically confirms that PainChek Infant offers a valid and reliable means of assessing and monitoring procedural pain in infants. This is unique. There is nothing like this in the world. The other thing about the infant app is that a new study just published confirms that it's very, very difficult for healthcare professionals and adults to assess pain in children, and the facial expressions is noticed the most important cue to assess pain. So therefore, PainChek Infant automatically identifies facial features indicative of pain irrespective of who assesses it. So this market need and this gap in the market is being filled by PainChek Infant. 3 areas of focus for us. One is post-vaccination. Infants receive 5 vaccinations in the first year of their life. Second area for us is post-operative procedures such as cochlear implantation, where kids are implanted as young as 3 months of age. And the third area is licensing, partnership licensing for therapeutic, medical device, and also medical diagnostic companies. So these are 3 areas. Just very quickly touching on the cochlear implantation area, which is very close to me. I worked for Cochlear for almost 6 years, and my youngest daughter was implanted with a cochlear implant 20 odd years ago. Today, children born deaf are implanted as young as 3 months of age. That's to minimize their outcomes as rapidly as possible. It's a major invasive procedure. There is pain involved intraoperatively and postoperatively. And of course, there's also pain issues to assess during the switch on of the implant and the program of the implant. So we're already talking to some cochlear implant specialists in this area, and we see this as it's a niche, but it's a very important area to start and to show the value of PainChek in assessing pain during these processes. So we're a global business. We're pleased to say we've got products now. We've got the adult version, both for people who can verbalize and those who can't, and we've got the infant version now up there for people. Obviously, all infants cannot verbalize their pain. So it's a universal pain assessment tool for multiple sectors of the market on a global basis. The team is very, very stable. Our team's been with us for a number of years now. We've recently added in Ian McAdam as our CFO and doing a great job for us and really rounding out the team. And one thing I'd say about our team is that we are a team that's really experienced in commercialization. There's not many startup businesses in healthcare that have got the research and the commercialization. We've actually got both, and I think that sets us apart from many other companies. Our board has been very steady. It's the same board for the last 5 years, and has got great experience across both the medical, financial, and the strategic areas. Corporate summary, yes, we're around $60 million market capitalization. We had 11.4 million in the cash as of 3rd of June, and no debt, which is most important. So to finish off on our focus for FY22. So first of all, we want to maintain and grow our position in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, we've got 120,000 beds. We want to transition clients over the next 12 months to those commercial agreements, which will give us the base for our core business here in Australia and overseas. In Australia and New Zealand, we're now looking to leverage our RAC partnerships, our partnership aged care facilities into home care, and using those partnerships to get into the home care setting, and also our agreements with Ramsay Hospital and Hollywood Hospitals to get into the hospital sector as well. The nice thing about the hospital sector is we can bundle the infant and the adult app because both are needed in hospitals. Internationally, we're expanding and rapidly expanding and penetrating the UK market for residential aged care, and we're using the UK market as our fast follower for home care and hospitals. So once we've established the model in Australia, we're rapidly taking it into the UK. And then from that, expanding into other areas of regulatory clearance such as Canada, Asia, and mainland Europe. We're also targeting this year to get our US regulatory clearance done. And then that means in 2023, we're looking to have US clearance, and we're talking to partners in Japan and China for those markets as well. And last but not least, the infants app, which is a significantly large opportunity. We're going to continue to expand the reach. Currently, the infant app is for 1 month, 12 months. We're going to expand it to 3 years with clinical study work in Melbourne. And we've identified the early partnerships, both in hospitals, in home care, and also partners to expand the entry for the infant app rapidly into the global markets. So really exciting times. We know 5 years when we started this, we had the thought of having an infant app, and we thought of having an adult app and having them into different markets around the world. We've achieved that. We are there. We've actually achieved those goals in a rapid time. We've got a strong customer base, we've got a strong revenue base, and we've got an excellent team that's delivering. So I'm going to hold it on that moment there and pass it over for questions.
Philip, thanks so much for the presentation. Well, let's get to some questions that have come to us. You mentioned partnerships there. A question just in relation to the progress of some of those key partners, particularly Philips.
Yes, look, Philips, we've still in very good contact with Philips. Obviously, during the pandemic, they had to focus very heavily on their own core business. But we're still in good contact. You know, I'm actually about to spend some time overseas. I'm about to go off to Europe, hopefully touch wood at the end of this month, and spend time with our UK team, and also to meet with our partners such as Philips overseas to recommence that relationship. So Philips, we had a research agreement which is still in place, and we're looking to start post the COVID pandemic in Europe. And we're also looking to do some integration work with their new systems they've invested into for integration of our technology into there. So it was put on hold during COVID. The relationship is still strong, and we're looking to renew it now as Europe gets out of that COVID situation.
Okay, and just a question in relation to that government grant. What's the attrition rate for customers coming off that grant-funded license?
It's very low. It's very low. We actually, the way we've planned this is that, you saw from the slide, is that we've got around 120,000 beds. We're looking to actually gain another 15 to 20,000 in Australia this year, and that should cover any attrition that we have from people that don't follow through the government grant. So our goal is to maintain that 60% market share in Australia over the next 12-month period. There will be some losses. That happens naturally, but we still have a number of new clients looking to come on board, and the new clients that come on board are coming on board on full paying terms. So there's no startup process. They're coming on full commercial terms. Philip,
just a reference to regulatory clearances, which you obviously have in Europe, the UK, Canada, Singapore, New Zealand. A question, can you please discuss the process for getting FDA approval in the States? Do you need this for any trials? Sure,
really good question. We are going through the de novo route, which we've been going through for a period of time now. So that's actually when the product is unique and never seen before. You don't do a PMA or don't do a 510K, which is a normal route. They put you through a de novo route. And so that's currently what we're doing, and we've gone through the FDA on that basis, and we're about to start clinical trials to complete that. That will take probably 6 to 12 months of work. But we're also looking at some other routes, how to get into the US market, and you know, which are exploring now, and there may be some faster routes, but that's not validated yet. But we're focusing very much on the FDA de novo route.
Okay, and just a question specifically on the UK market. Do you expect stronger growth there as it reopens?
Yeah, absolutely. No, we had the hard times last year. It was really tough last year, but the team hung in there. We kept focused. We built the brand. We built the integrations with the CMS partners. We've got one complete. We've got 2 more nearly completed, which will cover, say, something like 80, 90,000 beds, and no more than that, over 100,000 beds in the UK. And our team, yeah, we've got a number of clients now which we're training and rolling out to. So we see good growth there. That people love the product. They love the reporting we give them from our portal and our back end. They love the fact that we've integrated the PainChek system with the NRS system, the numeric rating scale, which means PainChek is a complete universal system to assess all their residents in aged care. And as I said, you know, once we've established our home care model and our hospital model in Australia, our goal is very simple. We pick it up and we drop it into the UK, into other markets, and use that as the base. So that the UK, you know, the fact they're 70%, 80% vaccinated, that's the key. And aged care is opening up. And again, as I said, my goal is to be able to get there by the end of this month and spend 4 or 5, 6 weeks with the team there, and also to meet some of our potential partnerships for both the adult product and the kids product in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay, Philip, just a broader question of what news can be expected to be delivered to the market throughout the rest of the year?
Well, I think those 3 things I covered right at the end. I think the 3 things are: one is the consistent transition from clients, you know, onto from the government contracts onto our normal paying contracts. So that's a $5 million transition over a 12-month period. Secondly, you know, the expansion into the UK market, and expansion into other target markets like New Zealand, Canada, Singapore, where we have regulatory clearance. And for the kids app, and then still for the adult app, our early stage home care sales and early stage hospital sales. We've got pilots already going in all those sectors. And then finally, with the kids, we want to start to see some clinical some study work happening with the kids, but also some first sales, both in the hospital sector, I'm assuming, I'm targeting, and maybe GPs for those vaccination conditions or vaccination treatments, and also for the post-operative care, such as cochlear implantations. So a whole host of news coming through this year, and a lot of it is commercial. It's not all research, a lot of it is commercial, which I think is, again, pretty unique for companies in this stage.
Philip, thanks for the presentation, and thanks for joining us from PainChek.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thanks everyone for your time this morning.